We know that we are facing challenges in the nation, but we must be rest assured that God is in control of the affairs of this nation.
We begin with education. The federal government says with effect from 2021, it will not engage people as teachers if particular thresholds are not met, as entry will be only limited to the best. Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education, Sonny Echono, stated this while monitoring the October diet of the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination organized in November by the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports that 17,602 candidates are participating in the examination being conducted in 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory, with the exception of Ekiti and Jigawa states.
In recent times, the teaching profession has become an all-comers affair, which is a challenge in the education sector in Nigeria. And it is in a bid to ensure quality teaching and learning in schools that the Teachers Professional Qualifying Examination is being organized for teachers.
It's a process that everybody must go through.
It helps evaluate if we'd be able to produce good teachers.
With the use of a carrot and stick approach, federal government says it will migrate teachers who are not qualified out of the classroom to make room for qualified persons because they want to achieve better learning outcomes.
You must have a first class or a 2-1 as minimum. And if you have qualifications in other subjects that is not in education, we arrange for a conversion program for you.
But tracing this, Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, Professor Josiah Ajiboye, added that a teacher from Government Day Secondary School, Karu, in person of Okpeifa Olasukami, is among the top 10 finalists for this year's Global Teacher Award Prize.
The Global Teachers Prize carries a reward of $1 million. They are very enthused, highly enthused that a Nigerian has made it. The last year winner was a teacher from Kenya. A Kenyan teacher won the Global Teachers Prize last year. This is going to be the first time that a Nigerian teacher will be making the first 10.
With the enforcement of government's directive that only qualified teachers will be allowed to teach, an implementation committee which will cover all aspects of teacher resuscitation and revitalization plan is expected to be inaugurated soon. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
And in the studio to discuss efforts towards improving the quality of teachers in the country is Professor Josiah Ajiboye, Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria. Prof, welcome to the News at 10 on NTA News 24.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning to you. Now, what is federal government's agenda on teachers' registration and revitalization all about?
Well, thank you very much. Let us first of all appreciate the Honorable Minister of Education, under whose auspices we have been trying to work together to make sure that the teaching profession in the country actually is given a fillip. We want to actually appreciate Mr. President. You will recall that on the 5th of October this year, during the World Teachers' Day, there were certain pronouncements and declarations that were made by Mr. President towards revitalization of the teaching profession in the country. And let me tell Nigerians that two major principles actually guided Mr. President. One is how to attract the best brains to teaching profession. That's number one. Number two is how do we retain experienced and how do we motivate those experienced teachers who are on the job. So in implementing these two, Mr. President actually considered what can we put in place to make sure that we're able to attract best brains to the profession. Because let me tell you, the teaching profession is very critical. And the quality of the teacher will determine largely the quality of education for the country. And that's why it's very imperative that we have to examine the quality of the teachers who teach our children. So Mr. President considered those two major issues and gave approval to certain things to enhance the quality of the teachers in our country. So the major objective is actually to enhance the quality of education. It's always popularly said that no country can grow or develop beyond the level of its education. The same way, no education can grow and develop beyond the level of its teachers. And that's why we believe very strongly that the teaching profession needs quality people to be in that profession. And that's why you had the permanent secretary talking about the kind of caliber of teachers that will be required to be in our classroom as from next year.
Okay. I would like to ask you, because you are a critical stakeholder, what is the council doing to ensure improved quality of teachers and students they churn out?
Well, thank you very much. Since we came on board, before we came on board in TRCN, people will just bring their certificate and then they will be registered. But part of the thing we discovered was that, look, there need to be a structure in this area. And so we introduced the professional qualifying examination for would-be teachers. So anybody who will be registered as a professional teacher in Nigeria today will have to pass that professional qualifying examination, which is mandatory. Without that, you cannot be registered as a professional teacher in Nigeria as of today. Even Nigerians who are in diaspora, they still take the same examination. We have been able to make sure that we put that examination online for Nigerians who are in diaspora. So now, part of the things we are doing to make sure that we strengthen this is also to look at the curricula of pre-service teachers. And I'm glad the National Commission for Colleges of Education, NCCE, has actually largely reviewed the curricula of the NCE curricula in Nigeria to make sure that it's up to standard with the current realities or global realities that we have. So some of these things are being put in place. Also, we give our teachers, the mandatory continued professional development is very critical. What you call the MCPD, mandatory continued professional development of teachers. Because look, we discovered that some teachers having been employed 10 years, 12 years, they've never attended any in-service training program. But since we came on board, we have been trying to put some of these things together, including what we call the digital literacy training for Nigerian teachers. As if we anticipated this COVID-19. In 2018, the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria introduced the digital literacy training program for the teachers so that our teachers will be well equipped to be able to cope with the challenges of 21st century teaching. And these are some of the things that we have been doing to make sure that we enhance the quality of our teachers.
I would like to know, with this latest development, what will the council be doing and what does this move portend for our teachers?
Yeah, the council is still poised, on two angles. One is what we call teacher professionalism. But the other side of it is also the teacher welfare, because we believe that the teacher professionalism should be well complemented by the welfare of the teachers. And that's why, as a regulatory body, we are also concerned with the welfare of the teachers. And I want to say that, look, with what Mr. President actually approved, one is very glad that, look, if the Nigerian teacher is recognized, we have the teaching practice that is going to be, even for pre-service teachers, they are going to be getting federal bursaries. Those who are reading education in our universities and colleges of education, they will be getting bursaries, federal bursaries. And then those who are on teaching practice in those universities and colleges, they will be having teaching practice being sponsored by TED Fund and so many other things like that. And teachers who are on the job, they will have enhanced number of years in service. They will have also certain welfare in terms of allowances, rural posting, science teachers allowance, and so many other things to complement it. We believe very strongly that if these things are implemented and well implemented, look, the story of the Nigerian teachers will change and the story of our education system is going to change for the better. That is our conviction at the level of TRC and Federal Ministry of Education.
Okay, I'd like to draw your attention to those in the private schools. How do you intend to monitor to ensure they meet the required standards?
Oh, yeah. The law establishing TRCN actually empowers it to regulate the teaching profession in both public and private schools. So the private school teachers are not exempted from the ambit of the law as setting up TRCN. So we also monitor them. We also control them. And, we have been emphasizing this, that yes, it's very important to state this, that look, government alone can no longer provide education for the timid citizenry. The private participation cannot be ruled out. But look, in doing this, we have to recognize the fact that you need to engage qualified teachers to teach in those private schools. And that's why, as a regulatory authority, we've started some enforcement mechanisms to begin to move out, to see all these private, and we also speak to the states, because the state governments have the power to actually approve, to license these private schools. And that's why we are in contact with them to make sure that as part of the registration procedure for these private schools, they also ensure that they are able to check the quality of the teachers that they have, and in terms of their qualifications, and whether they are registered with TRCN or not, and be able to ascertain the quality of the teachers that they have in those schools. So TRCN has the mandate to regulate teaching profession in both public and private schools, and we are not going to shirk in that.
All right, so what will happen to teachers who do not make the mark, and what incentives can the government give to encourage those with first class and 2-1 candidates to go into the classrooms?
Well, like what the permanent secretary said, gradually I think we are going to begin to weed out those who actually do not meet the criteria. Definitely, if you are not a teacher, you must be a cheater. That is the principle. And if you are a cheater, we don't want cheaters in our classroom. No country will abandon its classroom. No country will abandon its classroom to charlatans. It's not possible. We want quality people to be in our classroom. We cannot afford to allow anyone that is not competent to handle the education of our children. And that's why we are concerned with the quality of those. For those who are there, look, with the approval that Mr. President gave, we believe very strongly that very soon the Nigerian teacher will begin to smile. And if we are able to change the face of that profession, so many brilliant people will begin to come into the profession. Okay. That is our belief.
All right. We know the government has just increased teachers' salaries. Really, is that enough?
Yeah, the approval, that's what we are working on now. What the Mr. President approved in terms of allowances and the new salary and things like that is what the Federal Minister of Education is working on. And I'm glad to inform Nigerians that the Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, will be inaugurating the implementation committee by this week, Thursday. Yes, it's been confirmed. Okay. That by this week, Thursday, the minister will be inaugurating that committee, implementation committee, to work out the modalities for the implementation of that approval. And we are working in conjunction with the head of service of the Federation. Okay. And we believe very strongly that with the collaboration and the cooperation we are enjoying, these things, there are certain things that we start. The implementation will commence with effect from January next year. Some are going to be for later dates, but we are trying to work out what we are going to do within the shortest possible time, what you can call low-hanging fruits, okay, to make sure that these things are actually implemented.
All right, Professor Josiah Ajiboye, Registrar, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, thank you so much for coming to our studio to enlighten us.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
And if you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. And still ahead. For outstanding contribution to the teaching profession, Nigerian public school teacher bags global award.
I had to train myself over time to make myself into what I am today.
Thanks for being there. Still on education, in 2018, this teacher won the Multina Teacher of the Year Award, which saw the company construct a building of 6 classrooms and a library in his school. In 2019, he submitted his entry for the Global Teacher Prize, and in 2020, he was shortlisted first among the top 50 and eventually made it to the final 10. The Global Teacher Award is described as the Oscars of education, with a grand prize of $1 million to a teacher who has made an outstanding contribution to the profession. And the Nigerian who made it this far is serving as a beacon of hope in Government Day Secondary School, Karu, Abuja. Olayin Kaudu tells us the story of shared determination and resilience.
It is often said that some teachers are born, while some are made. But for Okwefa Olasunkanmi, it goes both ways. His teaching experience started in Koma Village, Adamawa State, while on the mandatory NYSC scheme back in 2009, where he distinguished himself by setting up a library to add value to his teaching. When the 2020 call for entries for the Global Teacher Prize was made, Okwefa took a shot with his unique teaching methods, and here we are today.
I remember my first time in the classroom, it wasn't so funny. Even though, yes, I had the ability, the skills within me, I still had to go through training. So I had to train myself over time to make myself into what I am today.
A teacher teaching me competing in such a global participation, I love it. It's very great.
Some Nigerian teachers were nominated in the past in the top 50 category, but Okpeifa of GDSS Karo is the first to make it this far in the race. An English teacher whose teaching methods make learning very interesting, using edutainment, music, and dance. His fun-based teaching method and use of flip model has endeared him to both staff and students with remarkable results.
Even the consonant sounds, the way he put it in a musical form, it helped me to learn it fast, unlike the other ones that have been taught by other teachers.
You found a gold here, and whoever have the gold medal has it all.
With the sum of $1 million at stake, Okpeifa at present is the only one representing not just teachers in Nigeria, but the entire West Africa. Here is what he intends to do with the prize money if he wins.
I want to build over 9 libraries around different communities in the country. Look at my community now, my Karo community now. Apart from our school libraries, we don't have any single community library in this area. Then I also build what we call a digitized school. So with this $1 million and building such in this country, I believe we'll have really saved education.
It will interest you to know that during the lockdown, Okpeifa teamed up with some teachers across the country to put together online video lessons for students and pupils to ensure that learning continues even in the face of COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Olainka. And from education, we'll move to religious matters. Despite challenges of life this year, Nigerians have been advised to remain steadfast to God for answers to prayers. This was at the NTA Chapel of Resurrection's annual harvest and Thanksgiving service. Kunle Adeye reports.
From solemn to high praise, the parishioners unequivocally emphasized it was time to come to God's presence with substance and appreciation, having successfully navigated periods they described as topsy-turvy in the year when the global community was almost at standstill following the outbreak of COVID-19 and the recent hijacked NSAS protest in the country, which resulted in damage and wanton destruction of public and private assets.
Even when you show gratitude to man, you tend to benefit, let alone our divine God, let alone our almighty God. Once you show gratitude and you thank God for what he has done, he will do more and more and more for you.
For me, I just come to thank God, and we know that God is everything. So if you know that God keeps you alive, you need to thank God and bless him.
We thank God in an exceptional way because of the circumstances of the time.
From the ecclesiastical perspective, it is a tradition in the Christendom which strengthens the relationship between the clergy and the laity.
We recognize that one can only be victorious by the grace and mercy and power of God. And we say we are more than conquerors.
It strengthens the relation between the members and the priest and the pastor. You know, people tend to want to see the pastor more, pastor get close to them more. We sing, we dance, we rejoice together.
Prayers were offered for the nation, church and the families. In Abuja, Kunle Adeye, NTA News.
In our COVID-19 update, new figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control indicate 152 new cases of COVID-19, increasing the total number of confirmed cases to 65,148 in the country. Of the 152 new cases, Lagos has 136, Kano 4, Niger 3, Ekiti, Kaduna, Ogun and Taraba have 2 new cases each, while FCT has 1 new case. On the number of cases per state list, Lagos has 22,404 cases. The FCT has 6,372 cases. Plateau so far has 3,719, followed by Oyo with 3,617 cases. 2,912 cases are currently active, while 61,073 patients have been discharged, with 1,163 deaths recorded. Talking business now, experts advocate improved capacity of the private sector to key into the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Chimobu Walter Naji is our guide.
Some of the major problems facing the growth of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria include access to finance and credit facilities, multi-taxation and bureaucratic bottlenecks by licensing agencies of government in charge of business registration and much more. This has caused untold hardship to young people seeking to establish their businesses. To solve this challenge, the federal government is seeking to bring small business owners together under the Business 360 platform to help interface with government agencies and organizations involved in the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in the country.
The essence of doing that is for such bodies to look into the problems that the MSMEs face while doing their businesses and provide solutions there and then. It's not about you taking the office back to your office. No, you have to provide the solution there and then.
We face it every day. People complain every day. When you're taxed so many times, the chances of being encouraged to do the business becomes slim. You don't want to do the business anymore. And then how do you expand the economy and employ people if the business is shrinking instead of expanding? Because
Business News, Chimobi Walter Naji.
Thank you, Chimobi. Cross River State Governor Ben Ayade is being commended for his deliberate efforts to implement the federal government's agricultural policy of providing and enhancing food security in the country. Minister of Water Resources Sulaiman Adamu, who gave the commendation, says Governor Ayade has proven his acceptability of the federal government's vision in spite of different political leanings. Paul Abel reports.
Minister is in Cross River State to sympathize with the governor following the massive destruction that occurred in the wake of the EndSARS protests. Undertake an on-the-spot assessment at the Cross River Basin Development Authority, which was vandalized and encouraged staff at such a time as this. He sued for more cooperation from government to enable the Cross River Basin Development Authority meet our objectives, while sustaining achievements in the Open Defecation-Free Nigeria campaign and the Partnership of Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Action Plan, PWASH.
I've been following the giant strides we're making in agriculture, especially the seed factory and all the things that you've been doing, and to say that there's a lot of opportunity for us to cooperate with you through the river basin. I'm aware that you have graciously approved for us to take over the Songhai farm in the state, and I hope that we'll continue to see more of this cooperation.
You have a very big duty, even if that's all you can address in all the governments and ministries and departments of water resources for this country. If you can address the issue of water supply to farmers and water supply to homes, it will go a long way.
The minister was also at the Palace of the Obong of Calabar to pay homage to the royal father and sue for continued blessings.
We'll always continue to rely on your eminence's support and leadership.
We have to create the enabling environment for them to be self-sustainers.
Accompanied on the visits of the minister were management and staff of his ministry. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, has assured of his cooperation with the legislature in order to fast-track development in the state. He made this known when he officially received the newly elected Speaker of the Imo State House of Assembly at the Government House, Owerri. Bright Ebucho has details.
20 out of the 27 elected members of the Imo State House of Assembly at an emergency plenary session impeached the Speaker, Chiji Collins, and elected Paul Emeziem, member representing Ono Imo State constituency, who is also from Okigwe senatorial zone, as his replacement. According to the Deputy Speaker, Amarachi Nwayaun, the impeachment became necessary following the need to achieve a more effective and efficient assembly. Governor Hope Uzodimma, while receiving the newly elected Speaker, stressed the importance of working in harmony in the best interest of the state. He further reassures of non-interference by the executive arm of government and support to enable them execute their legislative duties effectively.
On behalf of the executive arm and government of Imo State, I want to warmly welcome you. To continue to cooperate with you, so that together we'll serve the people of Imo and grow democracy in this part of Nigeria.
The newly elected Speaker of the 9th Imo State House of Assembly, Paul Emeziem, promised to ensure that the House will henceforth legislate on matters that will have direct impact on the people.
There is joy in my heart, and there's so faith in my heart that I can hardly find qualified words enough to express the way I feel.
In Owerri, Bright Ebochio, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 10 on NTA News 24, reaching you live from Abuja. Let's take another break. More reports ahead. To stay with us.
Media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. All visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Hello, it's a warm welcome to Sports Ray, reaching live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. And give George.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
This is the network service of the NTA.
You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Welcome to another episode of Emotions. My topic today is the widower. The widower. And I have a guest with me, but before I bring him on, I would just like to say a little bit about the widower, because I have a widower in my life, and that's my father, Bishop Ben Oruma. I have watched my father's life like completely evolve and change since my mother died. And thank God now things are better with him. He is healing. Thank God. But I remember when it first happened, it was just so hard on him. And I noticed that everybody talks about widows, widows. There's some funding for widows. There's some organization for widows. There's always a support group for widows. There's so many things for widows. But hardly have I ever heard anyone actually talking about a widower. And if they're talking about a widower, they're always talking from a negative standpoint of, they don't really go through as much as women go through now. They just hop on another woman and they just remarry. Well, there are some cases where the man decides not to remarry, but regardless of how the death came up or not, whether it's a man or it is a woman, death is death, pain is pain, and grief is grief. There is so much stigma to somebody being a widower. It's either people over pity them, just pity and pity and pity, and whenever they see their phone calls, they just assume that they need money. Or people take it upon themselves to really, really reduce the person. And I'm not talking about from the standpoint of, oh, let us support you. No, from the standpoint of, we already know your situation. This episode is to enlighten you and to just tell you that there is one thing that every hurting person or every grieving person needs, and that is presence. The presence of comfort, the presence of compassion, the presence of love. No one is looking for your money. We don't need your money. If you give it, yeah, fine. But you are nobody's alpha and you are nobody's omega. And please stop treating people in that way. And this is what I am seeing with a lot of widowers. My husband and I had a neighbor a few years ago who unfortunately passed last year. And I just remember how, like, whenever you say, oh, my wife died, there's this thing of, oh, and then unsolicited advice or unsolicited condolences. Oh, she's in a better place. Oh, this is the time that it should have happened. Oh, this must really, really be bad for you. Oh, how are you coping? How are you handling? Look, if you are going to encourage somebody who has either lost their husband or their wives, bring out the strength that is on the inside of them. Highlight the strength that is in their life. Don't tell them that they must be weak. Oh, you must really be weak right now. Oh, hey, Masho, hey, now wow. So how are you going to cope? No, you tell the person that they are strong. You assure them that you're going to visit them and that you are going to see them. You tell them that they're going to make it through this tough time. You don't put all kinds of fears in their hearts. Just be there. And even when you're there, you don't have to say much. There's something about presence. It's like it takes care of everything. Just your presence, just being there. Don't forget widows and widowers. Don't forget them. Visit them. Place a call to them. And if, like in my case, I have noticed that a lot of my mother's friends, they have vanished. Yes. A lot of her friends have vanished. If she could see and if she could know, she would be disappointed. They have vanished in my life and they have vanished in my father's life. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Now, we are not looking for you. That is not my point. I am just trying to tell you that when somebody loses someone, especially a spouse, please don't just cut off communication. Yes, we understand that you were not close to the husband or you were not close to the wife or whatever, but you still have to communicate, at least for whatever that friendship meant to you, if you valued it. And whenever they call you, please don't think that they are calling you for money. I remember when my mother had just died, and then I came into the country for her dedication. And me, I am somebody, whenever I come into Nigeria, I have a list of everybody that I call. I have a list of all my friends and a list of people who I respect and pastors. And I noticed that I could not reach anybody in January of 2018. I couldn't reach any. I couldn't reach anybody. Nobody was answering the phone. And my mother had died in November of 2017. So I asked my dad, I'm like, why are people not answering the phone? Because those same people are answering today. They are answering in 2020. But they did not answer in 2018, especially in that January, February of 2018. They didn't answer. And I asked my dad, why are these people not answering? And I gave him their names. And he said, they are thinking that you're calling them for money. Do you know that I didn't even understand it until I got exposed, because now I'm doing a master's in thanatology, which is the art of death and dying. And oh my goodness, I have heard a whole lot of things. I have seen a variety of people who have had the same incidences of how people withdraw and how people begin to treat them. You know, they are it's kind of like a respect has dropped, and people now tend to look at you with pity. And unfortunately, there is a difference between pity and compassion. You know, you don't have to do anything for me. You don't have to send me money or write me a check. But when you're compassionate, I would even know the difference in your giving. We can see it and we notice it. You know, and then for those of you who intend to visit, please, don't come screaming and crying and reminding us about how painful how painful it is. We already know how painful it is now. We already know it was us that went through it. It is my father that went through it. You know, at least me, I have a husband that I can go back to. But my father is alone in bed. You know, so you don't have to remind him that he is alone. And how is he going to cope? And who is going to be cooking for him? And some people even go as far as calling me and asking me, you know, who is cooking for him? Hope you are taking care of him. No, I'm not taking care of him now. I just left him there. I just abandoned him there. Come on. We are going through pain, you know, and even now as I'm talking, it is so hard to see my dad become a different person. My father is single now, you know. I remember when we had gone to, I had taken him for a checkup about a week or two after my mother died. He was very ill, and I took him to see the doctor, and we had to fill out a form. And somewhere on that form it said single, married, or divorced, or widowed. And I remember when we ticked widowed, my dad just lost it. My dad busted out crying. I mean, this is my dad who has been strong my whole life. This is my hero. You understand? The only time I ever saw my father cry is when he was praying. You know, if he's praying, he would cry, or if he's preaching and he's passionate about, you know, about the words that God is giving him to tell his congregation, then that's when I see tears. If not, I didn't see my father cry. So to see my dad, not only was he crying, but my dad was wailing like a child in the hospital. My heart just broke into pieces. Oh my goodness, my heart just broke. They were married for 44 years. You know, and he was like, I am now a widower. I am now a widower. You know, and I could tell that his status had changed. His title had changed. His life had changed. And his expectations had changed. And his circle of friends had changed. And you know what? Sadly, even his caliber had changed. Because people say, he's a widower. Or, they just assume that he's hungry. My father is not hungry. And you know, and this is why I'm doing this show, is because that I also have a guest who is a pastor and who is a widower and who has sailed through the storm of being a widower for the past 5 years. And I'm telling you, the loss of a loved one is hard, but the loss of a spouse is on another level. This is somebody that you've been laying with on the same bed for 20-something years or 30-something years or 44 years, like my parents. You know, how do they cope? Thank God for loving people. Thank God for family members. Thank God for our faith, you know. Thank God for all of that. But I will just encourage you, don't forget that widow that is your neighbor. Don't forget that widower who is your neighbor. And don't see them from the standpoint of pity. Because trust me, they are not pitying themselves. They are just sad, but we don't pity ourselves. They don't pity themselves, so don't pity them. Show them love and compassion. And whenever they call you, please don't assume. As a matter of fact, my dad, he does not even call anybody because he has recluded almost into a place of depression, which is expected. So he's not even calling anybody, because when people are depressed, they don't even call anybody. But don't just assume that they are looking for money or that they are fine. They still need your prayers and they still need your visitation. They need your presence. And when you go there, don't be blabbing. Don't be blabbing and making all kinds of statements. Go on the internet and type what are the appropriate things to say at a funeral or to somebody who is grieving. What is the appropriate thing to say to a widower or to a widow? Don't just go there saying, oh, what a mighty loss. At least she's in heaven now. Okay, so her being in heaven, how is that supposed to help him, or how is that supposed to help us? So let's be sensitive. Let us be compassionate and stop the stereotype. And if they want to remarry, allow them to remarry, and stop saying, men don't feel it as much as the women. That is a big lie, because really, the last time I checked, a woman really, really fills up a lot of void in the home. So when the woman is not there, everybody is naked. So please stay tuned as I bring in my guest. Welcome back from this short break. You are tuned into Emotions with Omenasa, and my guest is with me. Today our topic is the widower. We're always talking about the widows, but today we are talking about the widower and the weight and the heavy laden and the burden that is involved in losing a loved one, especially a spouse. And today my guest is none other than Pastor Tunde Dada. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure for being here.
I am so tired of support groups being everywhere for women. Everything is about women. Everything. Advocacy is all about women. And the men are forgotten, basically.
True.
So I just wanted to put this show together to to validate you and to empathize with the widowers out there. And so we would like to hear from you, sir. How has this been for you?
Well, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. And it's been sometimes tough, sometimes easier. When it happened, there was just this disbelief. Your whole system rejects what just happened. And even though you're trying to reject it, but it's a reality. And it's a reality that's not going to change. That's the thing about death, where you get a new norm. Your normal is gone, and then there's a normal that is new to you that you never just imagined could happen. And you just got to take it one day at a time. At the point in time when you suffer this kind of loss, it's very hard, practically impossible to look far ahead and see where you would be. You just need to just focus on surviving till the next day. I can remember in that season, I had one prayer, and that prayer was, Lord, give me strength. I mean, from the minute I woke up in the morning, the only prayer is that, Lord, give me the strength to go through this day. And I thank God for my faith. If not for my faith, I don't know how I could have survived this. Everything changes, and it doesn't go back. Being married, and I was married for 33 years. Being married, there are things that you don't even know about. It's like my kitchen. I mean, I help out in the kitchen like every nice husband, but I don't track what's in my freezer. Yeah. I don't track what's in the store. I can remember the first day I went and we needed napkins, just like hand towels in the kitchen, and I was walking through a store looking for hand towels, and I said, "Look at my life. I'm looking for hand towels."
Yeah, like the little things become so big.
Yeah. So it's been a journey, and there are phases. There are times when I thought I was okay, but when I traveled and I came back, I realized that actually I wasn't as okay as I thought I was. So it's a continuous journey. They don't come back. So and life goes on.
You would say that you're still in your journey?
Yes, definitely. mom, I call her mom. Mom's gone. So at home now, and my 2 daughters are married. So it's just myself and my 2 sons. So we have a big house and 3 men.
Wow.
So it's different. And then the boys are in their rooms on their laptops. So the times I come downstairs at 7, 8 in the evening, and there are no lights on downstairs. Downstairs is in darkness because the boys are in their room on their laptops. Maybe I was doing some study in my room, and I come down and it's like I have to put on the lights. You know, it could get to you.
It could get lonely.
It could get lonely.
What would you say about the stereotype about what people say? Grief is not hard on a man now, because as soon as the wife dies, they just jump and they just hop on another woman and all of that. Like, I believe that you've been a widower now. Yeah.
5 years now.
For 5 years.
5 years now.
5 years is a long time. Like, I guess you've broken that record.
5 years, that's a very long time.
So, is there any plan for remarriage?
Yes. I believe I'm still young enough to have a life ahead of me. I'm going to need partnership. I'm going to need some kind of, you know,
comfort.
Some kind of comfort. You know, we spoke about comfort before now. You know, and to tell the truth, I'm happy that I don't believe I've suffered a love deficit. Just because of the kind of church that God has used me to raise. I mean, there are people to hug me and say, I love you, Daddy. I get that. But like you said, there's a level of comfort that right now
there's a
only
level
the
of intimacy
Holy
that they
Spirit can give me.
Only the Holy Spirit.
One person comes and takes over that.
And takes over the Holy Spirit. Yes, sir. What are some of the changes that you noticed in the society? Maybe status changes or friends? Like, did your circle change?
A lot of her friends I have not seen, like I thought I would see. And also, you know, because I have daughters, there were friends who I thought would really be involved in my daughters' lives, because my daughters got married after my wife passed away. And not a lot of them, a few showed up, but not a lot showed up. That was one major thing that we noticed. And, you know, for just because I'm a pastor, I had the church community around me. So that really helped. I mean, if I didn't have that community around me, I don't know what I'd have done. I mean, I would have been really, really, really lonely. But just because I have the church community around me, then there was a flow of people coming in. But if I was just at that point in time, just a businessman, it would have been devastating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What are some insensitive statements that people have made? Unsolicited advice. Oh, she's an angel now. Oh, she's watching over you. It was her time to go. You know she had cancer now, so she's no more in pain.
Actually, I've said it. I'm going to write a book on mourning. I really have to, because I saw this happen. People would, in their cars, they were talking and having a nice time.
Like normal people.
And then when they get to my gate, they change their face, you know, to a very somber, you know, morning look. Then they come to my door and knock and come in. And then some cry or just, you know, they dump a lot of weight on me at a time when all I needed then was strength. I just want you to come and just either stand and keep quiet, or just say, you know, you'll make it, you know, just be strong or something. But then they dump on me, and then they go. And now I'm dealing with this thing. I'll tell you this. I printed a poster on my door at that time, and I said, I have lost my wife of 33 years. I have suffered the most loss. If you come here, please don't cry more than I'm crying. Don't shout more than I'm doing, because I am suffering the most loss. And I put the sign on my door. Because people don't understand that. When somebody is mourning, they know that they've lost something. They know that things are bad. They know their life has changed. They know. So don't come and make them know more of what they already know.
What is more that can be known?
Yes, really. Just come and just be supportive, be strong, but don't put that face. Somebody called me from the States and cried for like 15 minutes on the phone. What am I supposed to do? I was already trying to be strong, and then you're just crying on the phone at me. What's that supposed to do to me? Make me feel worse. So people need to learn about handling people who are mourning.
How can people be more sensitive? Because the truth is that a lot of people don't even know what to do. Like people looked at my mother in the casket and said, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful."
Most times, if you don't know what to say, don't say anything. And just let them know that you're there for them. That's it. Just let them know that you're there for them.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
Good morning, Your Excellency, Chief Governor of Rivers State, Yesum Zenwo Wike, CON, DSS, RS, Life Bencher of the Honorable Body of Benchers, Mr. Infrastructure Projects himself. You're welcome, sir. That is our distinguished and special guest of honor. Please let us give him a round of applause. We want to start by apologizing for the slight delay, but we'll try and make progress because we are very much aware that we have very eminent personalities here who have very busy schedules. Also, by way of protocol, permit me also, my Lord, the President of the National Industrial Court, ably represented by Honorable Justice Funke Anuwe. We have Honorable Attorneys Generals present here. Particularly, we have the Honorable Attorney General of Kogi State here, Ibrahim Mohamed Essien. And the Attorney General of Rivers State is also, I'm aware, is present. Learned Senior Advocates of Nigeria here present. Permit me because of time. Distinguished guests attending both physically and virtually. This year, we have about 1,500 participants online. I greet you, a very important constituency. Unfortunately, this is the new normal, and we can't have our normal large crowd. So I greet you. We have millions of Nigerians watching us live on AIT and NTA. I also greet you. Gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the 3rd Annual Conference on Criminal Law Review, Annual Criminal Law Review Conference, where we talk about updates and developments within the last 12 months on criminal law, criminal justice, procedure, and evidence in Nigeria, hosted and by the Rule of Law Development Foundation. So to commence the program, permit me to invite the coordinator of the Rule of Law Development Foundation, who is no other person than the 25th President of Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. J.B. Daudu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to give his welcome address. Thank you.
Your Excellency, distinguished Governor of Rivers State, Yesum Zenwo Wike, Life Bencher of the Honorable Body of Benchers, and Mr. Projects. My Lord, the President of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, ably represented by the Honorable Justice Funke Anuwe, may I at this point respectfully just welcome also the Attorney General of Rivers State, Professor Zaki Osadango, newly crowned SAN. We have in our midst, and the Attorney General of Kogi State, my learned brother Silk, and may I rest on the protocols ably set by the moderator of this event. Your Excellency, I'd like to say that you are welcome to this Rule of Law Development Foundation Criminal Law Review Conference. It's an annual event, and the pandemic, it was our intention to host it, or to have you host us in Port Harcourt this year. But we'll still come before before 2023, if you will accept us. It's getting to be a large, usually a large turnout now because of the issues of criminal justice. Actually, we understand Your Excellency has a very busy schedule, and therefore I cannot go into my welcome address because it is in some length. So I'm using this opportunity to crave the indulgence of our goodwill, those who will present the goodwill messages, and my humble self and the panel that is at the ready, to please defer to His Excellency, who has a very busy schedule. His Excellency has been one of the sounding pillars of the rule of law, and he practices what he preaches. And so, Your Excellency, we have 3 assignments with respect for you here. The first is your keynote speech, which we will take after this short address. I will take my own welcome address after the goodwill messages, and then the panel will discuss your keynote address, the welcome address, and then the contents of the goodwill messages. Secondly is the book. Would like Your Excellency to formally present to the world the directions and rulings of the Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee. I'm sure at the moment the chairman of the LPDC, Mr. Isi Ukala, SEN, is watching this event live, and I have his permission to have you present our volume 4, running to 800 and something pages of the jurisprudence of discipline of lawyers in this country. So at the appropriate time, shortly after your speech, we'll invite you to present and launch this book. And finally, I said 3 items, but it's turned out to be 2. Finally is to invite you with respect to present your keynote address. If I remember the last one, I will mention it before you finish.
Social distancing, so I'm permitted to remove this.
Yes.
So we're not very close. Lord, the president of the Industrial Court, the coordinator of this program, Attorney Generals of Kogi State and River State, senior advocates of Nigeria who are here, participants in this program, my younger brother, the moderator of this program, my members of my delegation that came with me from River State, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, let me thank the
coordinator of this program for giving us opportunity, because I had initially told him that today I'll be hosting the governors of the South-South region. Of course, of our meeting with the Chief of Staff to the President and the Inspector General of Police tomorrow as regards to what is going on in the region. And I also pleaded with him that he knows that it will be proper for me to be at home on time, so I'll be able to receive my colleagues. Those of us who are politicians, even everybody is a politician, but those of you who are here claim they are not politicians because they are not in an election. But we know that virtually everybody is a politician. One way or the other, you make your contributions in the best form you think. But the problem we have in this country, that is the only way you are running an election, or you are giving a political appointment, that you are not a politician. I've told my leader, the coordinator of this program, that he is very much a politician than me, in a very quiet way, or in a very noisy way. But let me thank you for this opportunity to come and present the keynote address and deferring. So be it so I will be able to go home and receive my colleagues. I was not on time, and I called the coordinator. Look, I've been here. I told him I would be here by 8 o'clock, and I was there by 8 o'clock since in Abuja. I had hardly slept in Abuja because my constituents are not from here. My constituents are in River State, so I hardly sleep in Abuja. So I told him by 8 o'clock I'll be in Abuja. And I called him down in Abuja. I said, okay, they will tell me a short time, they will call me when the program, when they are ready. I thank God that he kept to his promise. But let me start by thanking the Incorporated Trustee of the Rule of Law Development Foundation for inviting me to present the keynote address at the 3rd edition of the annual Nigerian Criminal Law Review Conference, which of course is holding today, November 16th, 2020. As a government, we are committed to supporting every genuine effort at providing solutions to the myriad of problems besetting our criminal justice system. Furthermore, we have no doubt about the quality and typicality of the discourse at the annual Nigerian Criminal Law Review Conference. This conviction explains the readiness of the River State government to sponsor our judicial officers, magistrates, and law officers to the conference annually. This year alone, we are sponsoring 8 judges, 6 magistrates, and 51 law officers to the annual conference. Of course, because of the pandemic, none of them will be able to come here, but I'm sure that they're all hooked up virtually. So I thank God Almighty for that. Also, I wish to thank the Rule of Law Development Foundation for its pioneering role in interrogating and bringing to the front burner issues concerning the observance and or violation of the rule of law within Nigeria and even beyond, and developing a template for appropriate intervention. I'm particularly delighted by the efforts of the Rule of Law Development Foundation to explore and examine issues concerning the rule of law within the context of Nigerian criminal justice system. I believe that the task before this conference is to examine and discuss the state of our criminal justice system in the light of the challenges confronting the nation, such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the NSAS protests. This conference will be required to identify and formulate the reforms that are needed to reposition our criminal justice system to serve the interests of our people, particularly security, welfare, and preservation of their civil liberties. The Nigerian criminal justice system. The phrase criminal justice system is susceptible to different meanings. However, in its simplest signification, it refers to the collective institutions through which an accused offender or defendant passes until the accusations or allegations made against him or her have been disposed of or their self-punishment concluded. The system typically has three components. One, the law enforcement, that is, the police and other law enforcement agencies. Two, the judicial process. We have the judges, we have the magistrates, we have the prosecutors, and of course, the defense counsel. And three, we have what we call the corrections, officials of the correctional services. Of course, this is as reflected in the Black's Law Dictionary, 11th edition, at page 472. It must be emphasized that the essence of the criminal justice system is twofold. One, the criminal justice system seeks to guarantee the preservation of public security, order, peace, and health of the society. Secondly, it ensures that every person who commits an infraction with the law is made to account for his conduct, and that neither the guilty is allowed to escape punishment nor the innocent punished unjustly. It is obvious that the state of the criminal justice system of any country, including Nigeria, will depend on the efficiency, capacity, and effectiveness of the institution on which the system itself is erected. Thus, our criminal justice system cannot be more protective of the liberties, interests, or welfare of our people than the institutions that drive the system itself. Furthermore, since the institutions on which the criminal justice system depends are created by the Constitution and their power, limits and manner of exercising such power are prescribed by the same Constitution and other enabling laws. It follows that these institutions are bound to observe the rule of law. Therefore, the criminal justice system within the context of the rule of law means that the institutions created by law for administration of justice, law enforcement, and corrections to the reformation of offenders such as the police, courts, and correctional service must operate within the confines of the law rather than according to the whims and caprices of those entrusted with the responsibilities for administering justice and enforcing laws. Clearly, observance of the rule of law by the institutions charged with the operation of the criminal justice system is critical for the effectiveness of the criminal justice system. And so, at this conference, there's need for us to interrogate and examine the effectiveness and responsiveness of the institution responsible for the operation of our criminal justice system. We shall look at these institutions briefly. The Nigerian Police Force. The Nigerian Police Force is established by Section 2141 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, which also provides that, I quote, no other police force shall be established for the Federation or any part thereof. End of quote. It is clear from Section 4 of the Nigerian Police Act 2020 that the primary functions of the police force are crime prevention and detection, protection of the rights and freedom of every Nigerian, maintenance of public safety, law and order, and protection of lives and property of all persons in Nigeria. See Section 4, A, B, and C of the Nigerian Police Act 2020. Although by Section 2154 of the 1999 Constitution, the governor of a state of the Federation may give the Commissioner of Police such lawful direction with respect to the maintenance and securing of public safety and public order within the state, which the Commissioner of Police shall comply with the proviso to Section 2144 of the 1999 Constitution, which empowers the Commissioner of Police to request that before complying with the direction of the governor, the matter be referred to the President or such minister of the government of the Federation for his direction. This proviso unambiguously locates the ultimate control over the Commissioner of Police of the state in the President, and the tendency, therefore, is for the Commissioner of Police to defer to the federal government on matters affecting public safety and public order within the state under his command. The implication of the above constitutional provisions is that although the governor of the state is commonly referred as the chief security officer in the Constitution, which I say no, it is the chief logistics officer of the state. He has no measure of control or authority over the police command in his state, which is the major law enforcement agency within the state. The provision of Section 2141 of the 1999 Constitution prohibiting the establishment of any other police force for the Federation or any part thereof, apart from the police force established by Section 2141 of the 1999 Constitution, contrasts sharply with the position under the Constitution of the Federation 1960, which by Section 105, subsection 7, allowed the regional legislatures to make provisions for the maintenance by any native authority or local government authority established for a province or any part thereof a police force for employment within that province. End of quote. And so, the truth of the matter is that with the current strength of the Nigerian police force, who stands at about 372,000, the Nigerian police force lacks the operational capacity to fulfill its primary or core mandate of crime detection, crime prevention, and maintenance of public safety, law and order, and of protection of lives and property of all persons in Nigeria. To put it plainly, the Nigerian police lacks the operational capacity to police the nation, which is a federation of about 923,768 square and 768 kilometers, that is 356,669 square meters, with an estimated population of about 200 million people. It is this stark reality that informs calls for establishment of state police to provide complementary role to the Nigerian police force in crime detection, prevention, and maintenance of law and order. The current insecurity in Nigeria, such as kidnapping, banditry, and armed robbery, which threatens the very existence and stability of the Federation, clearly justifies the establishment of state police or community police to assist the Nigerian police force in intelligence gathering to fight crime and criminalities. While the establishment of state police may require amendment of the extant section 2141 of the 1999 Constitution to provide for police state, we are of the opinion that community police as such, like neighborhood watch, could be established without any constitutional amendment. It was against the above background that the Rivers State government enacted the Rivers State Neighborhood Safety Code Law number 8 of 2018, which establishes the Rivers State Neighborhood Safety Agency as a body corporate and vests it with power to establish a uniform neighborhood safety course in the 23 local government areas of the state and prescribe regulations guiding the operations of the safety corps and any other local government vigilante group in the state, amongst other functions. Section 12 of the said law provides that the safety corps shall assist, complement, and collaborate with Nigerian police force and every other security agency to protect lives and property in the state, prevent and combat crime, protect every property or infrastructure belonging to the state, a local government area, or any other public property, and gather and make available intelligence or security reports to every relevant security agency. It was in furtherance of this law that the Rivers State Neighborhood Safety Agency commenced recruitment and training of members of the uniformed neighborhood safety corps at the NYSC orientation camp. I want to emphasize NYSC orientation camp, which is a federal government agency. So not as if it was in a private arrangement where the state government tried to create and then train people. But in this case, it was National Orientation Camp of the NYSC, which was agreed by the security agencies in the state, be it Army, Police, Department of State Security Services, Air Force, the Civil Defense, all of them who are members of the State Security Council. And we went further to say, look, all those who must be members or recruited must, the police, the SSS, must be members of the recruitment in order to profile those that are recruiting, and that they must be responsible for the training of these individuals. So it is not as if, the state on its own tried to recruit people and then send to police for them to know. They're all members of State Security Council that agreed for this to be done and that they were going to train them. And of course, we couldn't use any other place better than the National Orientation Agency of the NYS. Now, it is important to note that in spite of this, that the unfortunate thing that happened, that the training exercise was violently disrupted. Violently, the word underlined, violently disrupted by the Nigerian Army, which claimed that the recruitment exercise was illegal and unconstitutional. This was an agency of government, Army, member of State Security Council, that took part of the decision and agreed that this should be done, and subsequently gave us approval for the trading of these people. But at the appropriate time,